Liverpool rocked by shock twists on and off the pitch. Don't miss a second. Subscribe now for instant Reds updates, exclusives, and breaking alerts.
News headline: Liverpool transfer dramatically collapses despite claims of late agreement, as insider explains why. Liverpool's move to sign right-back Geertruida on loan is now off, according to two journalists, while our sources have confirmed the key reason why the deal collapsed. The 25-year-old, currently on loan with Sunderland from RB Leipzig, was considered by Arne Slot's side as they eye cover for the injured Jeremy Frimpong. A deal was always going to be complicated. Sunderland paid Leipzig an initial €2 million loan fee for the Netherlands star, while they also have an option to buy worth €23 million, amounting to a potential deal worth €25 million, £22 million, or $30 million. Liverpool would therefore have had to reach deals with Geertruida, Leipzig, and Sunderland, as the latter would be due compensation. Reports suggested earlier today that Liverpool had reached a full agreement with Geertruida on personal terms, while Leipzig were set to greenlight the move. A separate report stated that Sunderland would only demand a compensation package of £3 to £4 million, up to €4.6 million, $5.5 million for Geertruida, easily affordable for Liverpool. However, journalist Sasha Tavalieri has now reported that, in a dramatic twist, Geertruida is set to stay at Sunderland following discussions with Black Cats chiefs. Tavalieri posted on X, Geertruida should stay at Sunderland. The club listened to the player, and following internal discussions, the Dutchman and the Black Cats decided to focus on the next chapter of their story, with the first objective being Monday's match against Burnley. Tavalieri's reporting has since been backed up by fellow journalist Ben Jacobs. Liverpool not expected to proceed with Geertruida. Decision made that a deal is not viable after being offered the chance to sign the defender. Team Talk transfer insider Graham Bailey has been informed by sources that the fact that Sunderland intend to sign Geertruida permanently when his loan ends was key to convincing the player to stay. Liverpool were only willing to include an option to buy if signing him on loan, and the defender wasn't pleased with that uncertainty. Liverpool still pushing for another signing after Geertruida decision. With this in mind, it remains to be seen whether Liverpool will target a different right-back before the window slams shut, but that feels unlikely. Sources have stated that Liverpool will only sign a new player if they feel they would be a long-term asset to the club. Slot and co. have no intention of panic signing anyone, and with a deal for Geertruida now off per reports, they will have to look internally for a solution at right back. However, Liverpool do remain locked in talks to sign Rennes centre-back Jeremy Jacquet, also a target for Chelsea, but he will cost north of €60 million, £52 million, or $71 million if they move for him now.
News headline: Liverpool transfer deadline day. Jeremy Jacquet deal agreed as Geertruida problem explained. Transfer deadline day. Liverpool news has been busier than anticipated in the last 24 hours, with Geertruida chased initially before a deal was done for Jeremy Jacquet. Suddenly, the transfer window has sprung into life for Liverpool. With the clock ticking toward the deadline, a deal has been agreed, but not one that will go through before the summer. Jeremy Jacquet is expected to become a Liverpool player then, with a deal understood to have been thrashed out with Rennes for the 20-year-old. The Reds have agreed to pay an initial $75 million or £55 million for the player, with a further $7 million or £5 million coming in potential add-ons. Rennes has long been insistent that Jacquet would not be allowed to leave this month, even with Chelsea keen and Bayern Munich also keeping an eye on things. Liverpool was prepared to pay the required financial package and, crucially, to remain patient. The Reds are lacking defensive options right now, but are thinking long-term. Jacquet is a very highly rated centre-back, and he has plenty of senior experience despite only being 20. In recent windows, Liverpool has looked at the likes of Dean Huyson, now at Real Madrid, and Lenny Yoro, who chose Manchester United, but missed out. It did sign Giovanni Leone from Parma, who is a very big talent for the future, but he, of course, has missed pretty much the whole of the season through injury, having only played once. Jacquet would be in a similar mold, with no news yet on whether Ibrahima Konate will be extending his contract and Virgil van Dijk not getting any younger. Centre-back is an area of severe need, and this should go a long way to sorting it out. Elsewhere, there was interest in Curtis Jones from Inter Milan, but Liverpool never had any intention of losing players this month. Quite simply, it couldn't even think about becoming even lighter in a key department.
Andy Robertson drew interest from Spurs, but a similar conclusion was reached there. Liverpool was open to having a conversation about letting him go to get more game time, but ultimately couldn't sanction an exit. Lewis Kumas and Luke Chambers have made good loan moves to Hull City and Charlton, respectively, the latter impressed on his debut this weekend, while Liverpool has also signed more Tala Ndiaye as one for the future. He and Ifeanyi Ndukwe, who came in from Burnley and made his debut last week, are for the U21 setup, where Liverpool was also light on centre-backs. Geertruida was looked into as an option, but it appears that Sunderland has blocked that move because it hasn't been able to line up a replacement. The versatile Dutchman would have been on a short-term loan deal. If Liverpool has to get through to the end of the season with the options that it has, it will be taking a risk with its Champions League status. One or two more injuries could prove very costly. However, the Jacquet deal is one that encapsulates its general policy. It is better to wait and sign the right player than get someone who isn't the right fit. Ideally, it would have been able to get Geertruida, who made plenty of sense as well, but that doesn't appear likely from here.
News headline: Jurgen Klopp plays key role in Liverpool sealing transfer hours before deadline. Former Liverpool boss Jurgen Klopp could have the final say over any deal to bring RB Leipzig defender Geertruida to Anfield before the transfer deadline. Former Liverpool manager Jurgen Klopp will play a significant role in the Reds' chase for RB Leipzig centre-back Geertruida. Liverpool are in discussions about hijacking the player's loan arrangement with Sunderland ahead of deadline day. The 25-year-old has spent the first half of the season on loan at the Black Cats, which means any agreement with Liverpool will need approval from both Sunderland and RB Leipzig. The Reds are eager to bolster their defensive ranks before Monday's cutoff point. It's believed Sunderland will only agree to release the player once they've lined up a replacement. This could spark a frantic scramble against the clock for both sides. Should the Black Cats manage to secure cover, Liverpool would then need Leipzig's blessing for the move. This is where Klopp might prove crucial. The German now serves as Red Bull's head of global soccer, a position he's held since early 2025. Speaking during the summer, Klopp suggested his influence at Red Bull's clubs, including Leipzig, extends beyond what many might expect. Addressing his responsibilities, he stated, "I don't know if I need to explain this 1,000 more times. I'm not the shadow boss here. I'm just trying to contribute my experience, and I really do have quite a lot of that." Prior to accepting his position with the Red Bull organization, Klopp spent 9 years at the helm of Liverpool. Throughout that period, he guided the club to 1 Premier League crown, 1 Champions League triumph, 1 FA Cup success, and 2 League Cup wins. After Saturday's 4-1 victory over Newcastle, current Liverpool boss Arne Slot acknowledged that the club are eager to bolster the squad before the deadline. "I think there's always a lot of talk about Liverpool and Liverpool players," he said. "There was a lot of noise around the club the last week, or should I say weeks, but today our fans showed what noise really means. That is being loud. They were so helpful today. That is what noise is here in Liverpool. We are trying to strengthen the squad and not trying to weaken it. But yeah, 48 to 72 hours to go. Let us see where the window ends up." News headline: Inter Milan president confirms Liverpool phone call to check on transfer situation. Liverpool made a call to ask about Denzel Dumfries this month, according to Inter Milan president Giuseppe Marotta, who was speaking ahead of his side's game with Cremonese. Inter Milan president Giuseppe Marotta has claimed Liverpool made a call for Dutch wingback Denzel Dumfries this month, but the conversations never went any further than that. Dumfries was linked to a move to Anfield in the wake of Jeremy Frimpong joining Connor Bradley on the injury list. The latter is set to be out for the remainder of the season. However, Dumfries is currently sidelined and therefore wouldn't make sense as a short-term fix. Liverpool made a phone call just to ask about the Dumfries situation, but there is absolutely nothing more than that, Marotta told Sky Italia ahead of Inter's Serie A game against Cremonese. These are unplanned calls that do nothing other than destabilize a situation. He is staying with us. There has been talk that Inter asked Liverpool about Curtis Jones. It is understood that the Reds had no intention of losing the Scouser, though, or indeed any other senior player, given the lack of depth Arne Slot's roster has at the moment. "We went into this transfer window without a sense of anxiety or with a desperate need to fill any gaps," Marotta said. "Dumfries had surgery, and we were therefore looking for an opportunity in that area of the squad, but it had to be advantageous, and we couldn't find anyone to fit the bill. With regards to Moussa Diaby, we had made an approach, but the right conditions did not appear, so we don't predict any other transfer negotiations."
Liverpool is hoping to get a deal over the line for Geertruida, who worked with Slot at Feyenoord. Any deal would require his loan with Sunderland to be ended before a new arrangement is agreed with RB Leipzig. I think there's always a lot of talks about Liverpool and a lot of talks about Liverpool players, Slot said on Saturday when he was asked about potential movement in the market before Monday's deadline. There was a lot of noise around the club the last week, or maybe I should say weeks. I think our fans showed today what noise really means. That's being loud, because they were so helpful today. So that is what noise here is in Liverpool. I think we are trying to strengthen the squad and not trying to weaken it. 48 hours, I don't know how long to go, but let's see when the window ends. Liverpool.com says, Dumfries never made sense as a target, given his age and the fact he is injured. Geertruida, though, looks a much better fit for what the Reds are looking for.
Jurgen Klopp told former assistant he would take Man City job despite Liverpool vow. Jurgen Klopp's former Liverpool charge, Pep Lijnders, has disclosed that Pep Guardiola won him over to Manchester City through his fervor and drive, and his old Liverpool boss, Klopp, even encouraged him to accept the position. Lijnders took up the assistant manager role under Guardiola at City last summer, having established himself as a trusted deputy to Klopp at Anfield. The Dutchman departed Anfield alongside Klopp in 2024 and, following a brief tenure at Red Bull Salzburg, was receptive to a Premier League comeback. Given his Merseyside connections, City might have appeared an improbable choice. However, the opportunity to collaborate with Guardiola proved irresistible, with Klopp's complete backing. Pep's brilliant, of course. He has a passion and a game understanding from a different planet, in my opinion. The moment Pep called, the feeling was straight away really good. It was not a difficult decision. You cannot put away 10 years of Liverpool that easily, but I'm really proud to come to a club of this magnitude, so successful over the last 10 years, and with a manager that defined football. When I spoke with Jurgen, he was so clear, if you don't do it, I will take the assistant job. Klopp himself has made it clear in previous comments, however, that he will definitely not return to England to work for any club other than Liverpool. I will not manage a club or a country at least for a year. That's not possible, said the German when presented with the question last year. I cannot do that and I don't want to. That's all. What I know definitely, I will never ever manage a different club in England than Liverpool. 100%. That's not possible. Guardiola's unwavering quest for perfection formed part of the appeal, as Lijnders continued. The best ones are like that. Tiger Woods, all these guys, they push themselves to limits. He's constantly searching for that. Very professional, very ambitious, wants to make impact every day. But I always say his biggest strength is the passion he has for his team, the passion he has for us, his love for his backroom staff, how he treats everyone, and that family feeling inside this club. Lijnders' most pressing concern is City's fixture at Tottenham on Sunday. However, they head to a far more recognizable ground, Anfield, the following weekend, and the Dutchman maintains his allegiances won't be split. No, I'm a professional, said Lijnders when the topic of his allegiances was raised. When I go to Anfield, it will be special, maybe more special for my family than me, but my mindset is to win and to try to beat them.
News headline, Steven Gerrard pays Hugo Ekitike ultimate compliment with Liverpool comparison. Liverpool legend Steven Gerrard made a big comparison after watching French forward Hugo Ekitike score twice against Newcastle in the Premier League on Saturday. Steven Gerrard is a big fan of Hugo Ekitike, and speaking about the Frenchman's second goal against Newcastle on Saturday, he made a sizable comparison. Ekitike, who was signed from Eintracht Frankfurt in the summer for a fee that could reach $106 million, £79 million, has now scored 15 goals in all competitions this season. His brace against Newcastle saw the game turned around, with Florian Wirtz and Ibrahima Konate also getting in on the act in the second half. It is all about Hugo Ekitike running with channel. It is Fernando Torres-like, Gerrard said. He gets out of his feet and that toe poke. He reminds me of Torres every time I watch him. Wirtz and Ekitike have linked up brilliantly in recent games, drawing comparisons to Gerrard and Torres. I don't think it comes to a surprise to anyone that they are getting better. Definitely not to me, Arne Slot said. The more players play together, the more they can find an understanding. I've tried to explain why it was difficult for them to play earlier in the season every 3 days again, and now they are able to do that because they can keep going. They can play more often together, we can play more often with the same team or same combinations, and as last season has shown, the more you can play together, the better it is. And I've always said that I would love to play, not love, but I prefer to play as much as I can with the same 11, but for obvious reasons that wasn't always possible. Now it's more and more possible, and then you can also see that connections are getting better and better, not only with these two, but also with other players. Slot was also asked about how Ekitike is away from the pitch, where he appears to be settling nicely into life on Merseyside. Funny, happy, always brings a nice energy to the training ground, but also to the stadium because the fans love him as well. From the start, I think everybody could see how special he is, how fast he is. That was probably seen the best in the second goal he scored. He took a 1v1 on, went on the outside, which is very, very difficult in modern football to beat someone around, because usually players go to the inside and have a shot with the right. But there you can see his pace. Again, I would love to mention the fact that probably didn't even improve that much on the ball because he was special from the start, but his biggest improvement is his work rate off the ball, and that is so helpful and necessary for any team, let alone for a team that wants to press throughout 95 minutes.
News headline: Arsenal to launch spectacular hijack of Liverpool signing target as Berta pinpoints elite Zubimendi upgrade. News in details. A fresh report from Spain claims that Arsenal are ready to go toe-to-toe with Liverpool, amongst other Premier League clubs, when it comes to securing the signing of an elite Real Madrid star considered an upgrade on summer signing Martin Zubimendi. Despite being in a strong position in both the Premier League and Champions League this season, with Mikel Arteta's Despite being in a strong position in both the Premier League and Champions League this season, with Mikel Arteta's favorites to win both competitions, plans for summer signings are already taking shape, just 2 days out from the January window signing. Arsenal secured an elite signing of their own on Friday when they managed to secure the long-term future of incredible teenage talent Max Daumann, but sporting director Andrea Berta is not done when it comes to bolstering a Gunners' first-team squad that is already bursting with talent. And now the latest reports from Spain suggest that a bidding war is on the cards for Real and France midfielder Eduardo Camavinga, a battle that the North London side are very much in the midst of. The report by Spanish outlet HIJACKS, an outlet known for being on the speculative side, states that the Spanish giants could be willing to offload Camavinga for a figure of around £60 million, 69 million euros, or $82 million, which does seem on the low side for a player who remains under contract until 2029. It's claimed that Arsenal's interest in the 23-year-old is concrete, although he's not the only Real Madrid star on their radar, with eyes also on Turkish playmaker Arda Güler. However, in terms of a move for Camavinga, which would not come until the summer, it's stated that Arteta loves the player's profile of being able to fill multiple roles, although it's as a defensive midfielder where he is at his best. The report goes on to add that Camavinga's potential departure is one that Madrid are looking to do in their bid to freshen up a squad that has largely underperformed this season and will need to get past Jose Mourinho's Benfica to reach the last 16 of the Champions League in a two-legged playoff. Camavinga to potentially leave Zubimendi out in the cold. It's claimed that Arsenal view Camavinga as an upgrade of Zubimendi, who arrived in a £60 million deal from Real Sociedad, having also had long-standing interest from Real Madrid. While more of a physical box-to-box midfielder than Zubimendi, Camavinga is also more than capable of playing the holding role at the base of Arteta's engine room, as he has done on 11 occasions for Real so far this season. There is also a general consensus that Camavinga's game is well suited to the physical nature of English football and that he would be a big hit in the Premier League, hence Liverpool's strong interest in the player. Our sources actually reported back in December that the Reds hold a genuine interest in Camavinga. That's despite the player himself not actively planning to quit Real. However, he may have little option but to move on if Real feel that an overhaul of their current squad is necessary to compete with a Barcelona side that appears to be going from strength to strength in Spain, alongside the dominance of Premier League teams in Europe. To that end, a major battle could be set to take place for Camavinga this summer, one which Arsenal look very much set to be embroiled in. More Arsenal news. Real target Gunners star, explosive winger chase.
Ironically, Real Madrid are interested in signing an Arsenal player who has fallen out with Mikel Arteta and did not start against Leeds United, according to a speculative report in the Spanish media. Elsewhere, Arsenal are preparing to rival Manchester United and Liverpool for a top RB Leipzig attacking star, according to journalist Christian Falk. Finally, Arsenal are preparing to escalate their interest in Atletico Madrid forward Julian Alvarez, Team Talk understands, with sources indicating the Gunners are willing to include first-team players in a potential summer swap that could help them steal a march on several European rivals.